Tyshawn Jones is suing Supreme for $26 million. That is not a mistake.
Hefty bag.
This was posted on Complex's Instagram. He's accusing the brand of not only abruptly ending his $1 million a year deal in a 13-year partnership, but also destroying his career by allegedly blacklisting him, according to a new lawsuit. We have the lawsuit here. We downloaded it. We looked it over. According to the New York Post, Supreme terminated Jones's contract last September in a reported move to cut costs. They're selling, they sold to, VF Corp sold it to Esseler Luxicata? Is that how you, I don't even know how you say it. They sold it to them for $1.5 billion. Jones claims the fallout caused other brands to distance themselves from him, a point highlighted in his lawsuit filed on Monday, which we'll go over here in a second, in a Manhattan Supreme Court. Quote, this is a quote from Jones himself. He said, "I'm saddened by it's come to this, but I have a duty to myself, my career, and the next generation of skateboarders to stand up for what's right. Supreme's success has been built largely on young talent, and those contributions deserve respect." So this is what it is all about, pretty much. This was the final straw, I feel like, that they were, as he said, they were trying to cut their budget.
Yeah.
In order to
figure out
sell.
ways.
Figure out ways.
But did you say that in there so far?
So far, yes.
Because I don't know.
It was a move to, they cut his contract last September in a reported move to cut costs.
Okay, yeah.
Right. So he's getting $1 million a year, which equates to about $80,000 a month, which is relatively what I make, give or take, Dubs.
Is that why you
80,000.
wear all those Amazon clothes?
Yeah. That's right. $83,333.33 a month.
Jeez.
Not a bad gig.
That's
right
from
there.
one company.
One company.
Yeah, that's a pretty lucrative deal.
Who knows what he's getting from Adidas?
Yeah.
True.
Who knows what he's getting from? I mean, he owns a couple companies too.
Yeah.
You know.
Yeah, he ain't getting no money like that from no other companies.
Right.
Unless it's like some, model gig or something. I don't even know.
Go ahead.
No, that was it. Yeah.
So we downloaded the summons, and we were looking through it earlier. We have it right here. Let me see if I can pull it up, JC. Is that how it goes? So yeah, we have it here. We were looking through the whole thing. It's public record. Obviously, when the lawsuit gets filed, they do that. But I mean, we're no lawyers. We're trying to figure all this stuff out as we're reading through all this stuff.
How many pages was that?
40 something pages.
40 pages. Yeah.
But the gist of it is that it's wrongful termination. That's what Tyshawn is claiming. The termination dispute. Supreme issued a termination notice citing a material non-curable breach due to Tyshawn's participation in a Marc Jacobs photo shoot on August 2024. The notice violated the agreement by terminating immediately. Contracts are crazy, right? We don't have the Supreme Tyshawn Jones contract.
Yeah.
We all know contracts could be one sentence in there, let alone one word in there that can change everything, the outcome of anything. Basically, in skateboarding, the companies can get rid of you for sneezing. That's how one-sided these contracts are. Now, a $1 million contract, I'm sure Tyshawn had a good lawyer look at it. I'm sure Supreme had their good lawyers look at it. I don't know when this contract was updated. It could have been updated. I mean, he's been with them for 13 years, right? So were there different iterations of the contract, or was it just a contract that Supreme had made up in the beginning? Because Tyshawn had done a lot of modeling stuff. He'd been associated with a lot of different companies.
And it was also brought up that he got, not permission, but he ran it by them.
Right.
So who knows who he ran it by and when he ran it by, because they were bought.
Yeah.
So I don't know how the other people that bought it are going to look at that. Oh, you ran it by us, but it's in your contract.
Not only bought once, but bought twice.
Exactly.
There you go.
So when companies get sold, I guarantee you it'll sell again.
Yeah.
Like, I mark my words, Supreme will be sold again.
Yeah, possibly.
I wonder what
just
maybe a new contract was done when it was sold the first time.
Yeah, I mean, we
don't know.
None of us know.
We don't know.
Yeah.
We don't know.
Yeah.
But it's one thing when you say you rent it by, like, James Jebbe, which is one of the, I'm not sure if he's still the owner, but if you ran it by him, then he'd have to run it by some other people, I would imagine, to really make sure that this is okay for you to do that. You know what I mean?
Mm-hmm.
So I don't know. It gets a little murky when
It does, because it does look like that it was in the contract, and we'll get to that in a second. The alleged breaches by Supreme. This is bullet points off of the subpoena. Failing to provide a cure notice before termination. So I believe a cure notice is like a 30-day. It's a notice that. Let me keep reading. I'm not a lawyer.
Well, would you put it? You're giving your 2 weeks in almost. Like
Right.
hey, you got 30 days. Like, hey, here's your contract. You got 30 days until it's done.
Right.
Is that's mainly what I'm thinking?
on how they're going to end it.
Yeah.
I mean,
Well,
We
both
got-
parties usually in a contract can end it for any
Anytime.
reason,
Yeah.
for any time. They
Yeah.
need to give written notice.
of course,
Right.
But does it have to be 30 days? Is that what that means?
Within
There's also,
30 days?
But there's also, stipulations in a contract that you could get released for this and this and this. You don't need the 30-day.
Right,
Written,
right. It could
you
just
know.
be instantly.
It can be instantly.
Yeah.
So let me keep going with this. The alleged breaches by Supreme, non-disparagement violation, making false statements to third parties, claiming Tyshawn was kicked off Supreme's skate team for breaching the agreement, harming his reputation. So the Supreme is going around. This is what it's supposedly saying. Supreme is going around telling other people, other companies that we kicked him off.
Yeah.
And this is stating that that's hurting his reputation, saying that he's getting kicked off.
He said the specific dude was saying that, right?
Who?
What's the guy's name?
James Jebba?
No, it was some photographer had bumped
Yeah,
into
that was a
him
photographer
or
that-
something.
But they said that maybe he was saying that to other people.
I'm not sure.
Possibly.
That's what I
You
thought
never-
I read.
I'm not sure.
Yeah.
There's a lot of
Yeah.
layers to it. We're just kind of giving bullet points and stuff like that. I'm sure Legal Eagle will cover this, or a lot of YouTubers that'll dig deep into this. But so here's the thing. This is the exclusivity clause. This is supposedly in the contract. Tyshawn was prohibited from promoting, advertising, endorsing, or publicly wearing branded apparel other than Supreme, excluding footwear, or endorsing other skateboarding retailers. Exceptions. The agreement allowed Tyshawn to promote at least 3 specified non-Supreme brands, indicating partial non-exclusivity, which means if you could kind of not be exclusive to Supreme, then you can go over and do X, Y, and Z. Now, he did own a couple companies.
So you think that would be including his companies that he owns?
It could be. I would make it a part of that. I can wear Hardee's. I can wear.
No, I think that he should be able to wear
King stuff.
anything that you own.
Well, that was-
and that shouldn't be tied into your contract.
Right.
So
That
it
was
should-
exclusive skateboard companies? Is that what it said? Or just companies in general? I could have sworn I read that it was like specific skateboard companies.
The agreement allowed Tyshawn to promote at least 3 specified non-Supreme brands, indicating partial non-exclusivity. I don't know.
Interesting. Wow, I've never never
could go
heard of
look
that.
it up.
Yeah.
Page-
they dial in with the lingo.
Page
man.
8, JC, can you scroll down to page 8 of that? Let's see. Page 8. It's a small print.
Oh,
Page 8.
jeez.
30. God, this is a. However, notwithstanding the exclusivity clause, the agreement actually contemplates non-exclusivity. It explicitly accepts Tyshawn's promotion of at least 3 enumerated non-Supreme brands. So they don't list anything,
Okay.
Not disparaging the process. Yeah.
Yeah. So what does that mean?
So that means he has to rep Supreme, and then he has the option of 3 other brands to choose to rep.
Right. Which I doubt Mark Jacobs was a part of.
Of course.
Yeah.
No,
There's
this has to be an ongoing sponsorship.
He could have had Louis Vuitton in there. He's been doing a lot of Louis Vuitton stuff. So
I
he
heard
could have had
he's
that.
He's a part of something.
He could have had that going in the contract. Again, we don't know what was in the contract. That's what's interesting about this.
At the like when you think if you have 3 brands you're gonna rep other than Supreme, it's probably gonna be Adidas,
Oh, yeah.
Hardee's, and King.
Yeah, I guess if those are gonna, if King and
That's
Hardee's
my top of
fall
my
under that,
yeah. Okay, curious. All right.
Now, here's the thing, though, is when VF Corp was selling to a seller Luxottica, I don't know how to say that, for $1.5 billion, part of it was clearing budget.
Yeah.
and they needed to clear however much budget they needed to clear. $1 million getting rid of one person is a lot of budget cleared in one go, right?
Totally.
So Excerpt Luxottica, or no, VF Corp was probably, see, this is where it gets interesting.
But
right?
they had to do that before they sold it, right?
When
Correct?
did they sell? I'm sorry.
Finalized acquisition of the Supreme brand from VF Corporation, October 2nd, 2024.
I
That's
mean,
my birthday. Yeah.
Oh,
it was a very in a close time frame for that all to happen, because he did the photo shoot in August,
right.
and then October they bought it. So that turnaround is really, really fast. So did VF Corp still own it in that process? They did, but it was going through a process of selling.
For what I thought, what I read is that they had to make those cuts before they sold it.
Yeah.
Made sense.
Right.
Makes sense.
And so they're doing all these things.
Yeah.
Because I don't know if you want to finish it all. Like
No, please. There's a lot. There's a lot of stuff. But go ahead.
It sounds like to me is that like, as a skateboarder coming up, you have this company, you grow with them, and you get bigger and bigger, and you're like, cool, it's all good. We're growing together. This is all good. Then it gets sold. Then different people come in.
yeah.
Then they're looking at contracts.
Right.
But they're like, hey, it's all good. It's all good until it's not all good.
Mm-hmm.
Until we need to make budget cuts. We have this in writing right here. Mm-hmm. This is what we're going to do to get you out of this.
Right.
That's what it sounds like it's happening, right? Kind of.
Supreme stayed pretty much skate throughout the years, and then they sold to VF Corp. Now listen, VF Corp owns a lot of companies, right? They also own Vans, they own Dickies, they own stuff that is already in skateboarding, right? So they know. Excerpt Luxottica doesn't have anything in skate, right? I mean, they own
That's
Oakley.
strictly eyewear.
They
strictly.
own Oakley, right?
Yeah,
they
all the
own
big-
all the
big
lens
eyewear.
lens
All the big
crafters.
eyewear. Yeah.
We can get a list going too of all the stuff they were. So yes, as they keep selling throughout the years, that's why I say they're probably going to be sold again for
Right.
another time. But I'm sure they don't have anybody over there in skate, and they're like, oh yeah, you got to knock $1 million off. Cool.
Well, but I wonder if when it gets sold, if those people that work there just they keep going to the new owner, but the new owners are like, hey, we need to do this, right? Like, we need to make these cuts.
Yeah, unfortunately, that's probably
The
case.
sad part is what happens a lot is this, there's the people that buy it now, they have no emotion to it, and they're like, all right, just cut whatever.
Exactly.
Just cut it.
And that's why I think that they kind of fail, because Tyshawn is a big deal. Obviously, he's worth whatever they decide to pay him. He was worth it. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
And $1 million is a lot of money in the game right now. Let's just be honest. In skateboarding, what are we talking about?
100%.
Okay, so they found it out, and that was it. And unfortunately, he was in that spot that got.
I feel like they just found a clause.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And they acted on the clause.
Totally.
They said, oh, look, here's the perfect out that we have right now.
Right.
This being Supreme VF Corp.
Yeah.
They
Was
say,
it the
look
right
at
move
this.
though? Was it the right move? Because
I mean, obviously there's a
now
lawsuit.
Now they could potentially, lose 25 mil if he wins. You know what I mean? Like,
Right.
Is that worth it in that budget cut to have something like this happen? And I'm saying, what if he wins? If he wins, I don't think it's worth it for Supreme.
Well, then it's the publicity of all this. It's like you lose that, and then you lose the publicity. Like the publicity's bad.
Totally.
I don't think
So-
they'll go to court. I think they'll settle out of court.
I think you might be right on
Yeah,
that one.
that's a good possibility.
The media is reporting 26 million, but I don't know. Reading the contract, or I'm reading the summons or whatever, the court summons. It looks like
It's
there's
50
like
something.
Yeah, but it looks like there's different. Yeah, there's like 25 million in punitive damages. Then the second cause of action is a defamation.
Yeah.
So there's breach of contract,
Yeah.
which is 1.24999 million. Is what he's owed from his paychecks, and then they're suing for 25 million for consequential damages, and then 25 million in punitive damages. So that's a total of like 50 million.
That's fucking crazy, right?
Now, there's also a simplified estimate. Okay, so 25 million. Then there's a second cause of action, defamation, damages 25 million for presumed and special damages, plus 25 for punitive. Then there's a third cause of action, breach of covenant of good faith and fair dealing, 25 million for losses from pretextual termination and reputational harm driven by Supreme's financial motives tied to its sale. So now we're looking at $126 million. What I think is, again, we're not lawyers. I don't know this mumbo jumbo, but what the thing says is it'll probably go, be a $50 million lawsuit,
Right.
not 126 million.
I just think it's funny how these brands, Supreme started from literally, I mean, every brand started from nothing, but it gets to this point, and you have Tyshawn, who's associated with all these big, like Louis Vuitton, you have all these big, well, I don't know which other ones he did.
Yeah.
I don't know exactly which other ones he has done, like the high-end things, but that puts Supreme in this crazy category of where it's at right now. And that's why it was sick that they let him do these things. It puts Supreme and him up there.
Totally.
And then it gets to the point where it's like, I remember when, real quick, when I wrote for LRG way back, and Diamond was starting to fucking go nuts. And everyone was wearing Diamond. It's all good to wear Diamond. But as soon as Diamond went nuts, LRG's like, nope, no more Diamond or no more Diamond.
Yeah.
None of you can wear that.
Yeah.
And we're like, oh shit. Like it gets to that point.
I remember that.
But it's almost like it got to that point, and then they're like, all right, never mind. We can't do this anymore. Like, this, I don't know. It became like a thing.
You were probably around when that was happening.
That was yes.
That was your
definitely
decision.
No, it definitely was not my decision.
No, it was LRG's decision. To say
it was
that.
LRG.
Yeah.
Yeah, it was all the other brands. It was all the other brands that were getting fucking scared.
Right.
Yeah.
Which I totally get. You know what I mean? Like it was a threat. So that's basically how they were using it, but they're using it in a different way.
To an extent, but it got to that point, and I thought it was cool that Tyshawn and Supreme were on the same level as the Marc Jacobs and Louis Vuitton. It's right there, so I don't understand why.
Well, because at the end of the day, it's a skateboard company. It came from skateboarding. You know what I mean? Oh no, it's evolved in some other shit. But it's at the end of the day, they still make skate products and still have skate shops.
I think it's. I don't know, man. I really want to know what's going to happen.
Well, it's interesting to hear what Supreme's gonna respond with. I think everyone's waiting for that.
Yeah, for sure. They might, who knows when they'll respond or when that'll be public. They may just.
They have
to
to
be talking right now.
They have to respond within a certain time period, though, right?
I don't know.
It's like a 2-week period or something.
But are they responding publicly or going straight to the source? That's what I'm saying. Are they going to handle this all behind closed doors?
I think at the end of the day, you have to report to them specifically.
Courts,
yeah.
All I know is they don't want this dragged out because nobody wants to keep spending money on lawyers.
They're taking it to the Supreme Court.
Right. All the way to the Supreme Court.
That was pretty good.
Raj, sometimes you do it, dude.
But I think they just found a clause. They needed to cut budget, and that was the budget that they decided to cut.
That's just crazy, though.
And legally, if it's in the contract, I believe that maybe they were in the right to be able to use that contract to get rid of the Tyshawn. They just found that one clause, and they're like, "That's it. There's $1 million freed up right there. They want to sell, and they're going to do anything that they can do to sell, to make this deal move forward."
Totally.
Right?
But he's not the one to let that go like that.
No, good for him for fucking putting up a fight and standing his ground and being like, "Yo, you're gonna take $1 million from me? Well, then fuck you guys."
Yeah, totally.
Here. Guess what?
Yeah,
here's my lawsuit.
they said they compared him to a Jordan of it, which all I would say on that is that he was the main focus of the younger generation coming up through all of this, and he got skated a year twice. He is like he's the
pinnacle of the new generation
of Supreme. I think it's weird to not see him in Supreme now.
Yeah,
it's really weird.
Yeah,
and I do agree the fact that they work together to get to where they're at, and he put in his work.
Now here's the thing, though: is it going to benefit? Okay, say nothing happened. Is it going to benefit Supreme by having Tyshawn model Marc Jacobs, Louis Vuitton, and who knows what else he's modeling out there while you're repping and being the face of Supreme, which is a clothing brand also?
No, there's a conflict.
There is.
No, there is. But
they said that he had talked about it, right? He said I had mentioned it to you guys, and you guys said we're cool with it.
Totally.
So they're like, you're cool with it. But the contract doesn't say that.
Yeah, you should have had another stipulation of the contract that said that was okay. But you almost have to have that type of shit in writing. You can't just be like, yeah. With $1 million contract, I don't think it's gonna work like that. But he thought it was, and
listen, I didn't have $1 million contract with audio, but when I was dealing with my contract, I had a lawyer look at it. And it was the best decision I made because when audio kicked off the whole team, audio still had to pay me for whatever it was, 6 months. And I didn't have to do anything. I have to wear audios or nothing. Like I could just move on and I'm still getting a check.
Yep.
Now that would never have happened if I didn't have a lawyer look at it. And he was like, what the fuck is this?
Nah.
Like they can get rid of you for sneezing. Literally. Like you sneeze in the office and they'd be like, Chris, you know what? You're out of here. Your contract's terminated.
No.
Like that's how one-sided it is. So
high five for that.
Thank you, bro. I was hyped. I still my claim to fame in skateboarding,
Straight
man.
up.
And I tell everybody, look at these contracts. Don't just sign on the dotted line, dude.
So true.
For $1,500 a month.
That's
This
why
is your
a lot
livelihood.
That's why a lot of kids these days, not even kids, people these days have managers and lawyers these days looking over shit. So I would say a majority of the ones that are getting deals, they're not the bigger deals. They're not just signing the contract, dude. There's no way.
No. At that point, if you're getting a decent amount of money, you're having someone look at it.
Yeah, even if it's not a lawyer, if it's like just say Clements, he's running it over, and if he can't understand something, he'll send it to a lawyer.
I think it's good now that we have those people in our space that can do that. Not
agreed.
like it's rad that like even my sister's a lawyer and stuff like that, but I didn't really had a contract to even do. But like Chris had somebody that he had to know from like a family deal. But like now it's like I'm a skateboarder. I have a skateboarder I can lean on to look at this.
Yep.
Crazy enough, the Tyshawn one, that's the biggest contract I think of. I don't know, maybe a Nija's on that level. I don't even know what those dudes make, but I would say a Nija and a P-Rod maybe.
But that's shoe though. You're talking about shoe, not even like clothing. Nobody's got $1 million deal clothing wise. Are we talking about?
That might be
who?
Oh no, clothing wise. No.
Shoe wise for sure. I mean,
What are we talking about? Clothing now or clothing throughout the ages?
Throughout the ages. Who's ever made $1 million on clothing?
You didn't have $1 million Maddox contract?
No.
Oh shit, my bad.
But shoe deals, we could possibly, like you said,
There's definitely
a
$1 million.
Nija, a year.
Yeah.
Yeah, there's not a lot.
Maybe Nija, I would say, but now still,
I think
he's still locked into that contract that he
I think
signed.
there's a few.
Who
else?
Nija?
Skaters.
Who else?
Bro, Greg Lutzka had a $3 million K-Swiss deal, bro.
That's true.
Dude, these guys got
And he didn't even have an agent. He just went out and talked to him.
That's true.
He's out of his mind. But yeah.
No,
So there has been deals.
Who else?
No, I'm just like no, not really. You think of like Jamie Foy and those dudes. Like you're not; those guys aren't even getting close to
I don't know. I mean, I know Jamie he's got a hot selling shoe, but $1 million a year, big dog. I mean,
I don't think so.
Praise you if you are. Real talk.
Maybe he's cutting. Maybe the royalties are filling in that gap. Maybe the royalties. Listen.
Big up if you're getting that big.
Reynolds shoe may be the new shoe on New Balance, but Jamie Foy's shoe was the best selling shoe on New Balance.
Yeah.
So those royalties.
Well, in numeric, I'm not sure. I don't know if it's New
Oh
Balance.
yeah, you know what I mean.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Of course. Dad shoes are.
Yeah.
Probably
Yeah, but dude, the amount of money that Supreme's making,
all day.
it is like compared to any like even I don't know like a skate footwear brand like Nike SB or New Balance skate, Supreme's by far bigger.
Oh, yeah.
man,
like you know what I mean? Like so
that's crumbs, dude.
Yeah.
All day.
Look, Joe Face is in the chat. He says my 9 club contract. Joe Face, what's the biggest contract on Dickies? Let us know in the chat.
Yeah, and hey Joe, you got to get your views up first before you start wanting a contract, dog. Sorry, just talking shit.
Yeah.
Yeah, but $1 million, that's a hell of a deal.
And I want to say, like, when they did they made I think it was a crazy thing to say it was like the Jordan of it.
I think so, too.
It was too much, but I understand what that meant of like,
Yeah.
because it's hard to compare anyone to Jordan because
Totally.
that's like literally the
Was that in the
He's a
subpoena?
goat.
yeah they
That was in the
they said it like
I mean,
they
bro,
can-
like that's lawyer talk. Like
Yeah,
they
some-
need
yeah.
to make a statement. They need to know who the hell that they're.
Yeah.
They need to make a
They're
case.
painting a picture.
Yeah, they're
they're
painting,
painting a picture
Yeah.
for it. So I was just like,
Exactly.
yeah, well,
I've been called the Michael Jordan
of podcasting
all the time.
Yeah,
Oh, Tony
no,
Hawk.
skating.
Tony Hawk. You're right. Maybe Tony Hawk $1 million off of but with shoes though or clothing, yes. Maybe that he might be the exception.
Joe Face said Jamie is the best selling shoe in all of New Balance. I'm pretty sure, not just numeric.
Oh, get
You're
him.
telling me that their classic, what is that shoe? The
old man shoe.
The old man.
Yeah,
You're telling me
I
it's
love that.
better than that
If
shoe?
that's the case, then maybe he might be getting that $1 million
Well,
He's selling athlete shoe. Okay.
Oh,
thank you.
athlete.
Okay.
Joe,
Like,
you gotta-
damn, dude.
Stop sending multiple bubble texts.
I'm still a little hesitant on that, but either way, he's still killing it.
I don't know. There's a lot to unpack. I mean, again, we read the whole thing, 40 pages, but a lot of the shit I don't know. I don't even know.
Oh
It
man,
doesn't
Rob,
make
we're talking
sense.
about right now though, dude.
It doesn't make sense. What do you think? Do you think who's in the right, who's in the wrong, or who's going to win, who's going to lose?
Ooh, it sucks that Supreme had to put themselves in that position and let go of like their top skateboard athlete.
Yeah, dude.
And it sucks that Tyshawn had to learn from an experience like this because he just ran it by the uppers, and meanwhile you have a contract in place. So, you know, it sucks to have that be your learning curve in this moment. Mm-hmm. But I think everything will work itself out. You know, hopefully he gets as much as he can. You know what I mean? Period. You know, I want skateboarders to win regardless. So go Tyshawn.
So you think he was in the wrong, but still was in the right on certain levels?
I think he was in the right because he tried to go to the top and say, hey, like, I'm going to be doing this. Is this okay? And they said it's okay. Right. That's what he thought. But the writing in that contract is what seals his fate. Right. So that sucks. Right. So from that standpoint, I feel for him, you know?
And that's what I would love to know is what we don't, nobody knows except the lawyers and Supreme and Tyshawn what his actual contract was. Mm-hmm. Like that's not out there. That's not public. I would love to know when that contract was written, how many times it was revised. Was it revised yearly, or were they just going off the same contract for years and years and years? And then it finally gets to this other company that is going to acquire Supreme, and now they're like, no, you know.
I think the $1 million thing is somewhat new. Like, I don't think that he's had like this deal for that long.
But that entails a new contract.
Of course. Right. I think he's had several contracts in that 13 years. So maybe 3 or 4 contracts in that year, maybe 3. Either way. You know.
I guarantee you if it was still owned by just fully the main owner and Supreme, he'd be chilling
all day.
He'd be like, "Oh, cool, yeah, go for it, dude."
1,000%.
But since it's like someone else being like, "No way, dude," you know how many times people go into somewhere new and they're like, "What's going on there?"
Totally.
And they're like, they're just pointing fingers, and you're like, "No, this is why."
Right.
And they don't care.
Right.
They don't care. Mm-hmm. And they fucking make those cuts. And you're like, damn, dude, okay.
Well, that's why I was wondering if him wearing all these other brands was hurting or helping Supreme. Because if Tyshawn is the face, quote unquote, the face of Supreme, and they're paying him all this money, and he's out there everywhere, are people relating Tyshawn to Marc Jacobs? Are they like, oh, that's the Marc Jacobs guy? Or are they saying, oh, that's the Supreme guy?
That's the Supreme guy.
Definitely.
So that's what I'm saying.
That's the case for Supreme.
That's what I'm saying.
Yeah,
like, it could be a beneficial thing to Supreme to have him out there. Breach a contract, but
it's not
he's
like,
out there.
I think it's like, it's a one-off thing, dude. The Marc Jacobs things was a one-off thing. If he was continuously marking or wearing like repping them, then it'd be like, hey, this is not good. But if you're the Supreme dude and you got deals, you're doing little things with Marc Jacobs, and that puts you in a good spot.
But also thinking like you got $1 million deal. I would try to do anything not to fuck that up. I'm just thinking like right now in reality, like I would have made sure that it was okay and got written like, hey, you need to sign this. There's a little 2-pager. Sign this, please, and then I can move forward. Like, and it's okay. You know what I mean?
Sure. Yeah.
And if that didn't work, then I don't know what to say. You know, I'd say maybe you have to bow out on that Marc Jacobs kit. You know what I mean?
Right. Like, how much is that photo shoot?
Maybe, I mean,
40 grand? 50
that's
grand?
like 50 grand, let's say. And that's not knowing anything. Let's just say that's 50 grand. Is that worth it?
That's half of what Supreme is paying him a month.
Yeah.
Almost,
give or take. $80
for a campaign or like whatever.
Right.
But it wasn't just that one photo, right? There was.
I don't know. Did he have a whole? I don't know. Was it just that one campaign?
It was a campaign.
I think it was like a online Instagram campaign. Even maybe it could. I mean, they're not throwing billboards out. Maybe.
Yeah.
Maybe that's a whole thing. It's like, what
put it
level
out.
of campaign is this?
Yeah.
Is this an Instagram campaign? Is it a photo in a magazine campaign? Is it a billboard?
That's all I'm saying. You just got to reevaluate and make sure that you're making the right decision, and that this is going to benefit you. You know what I mean? Because again, you got $1 million deal, dude.
I think most people are going to root for Tyshawn, which I am, and because
I-
they're not even dealing with
hands down.
skaters anymore. At the end of the day, it's fucking I don't know who the fuck it is. We don't know sunglasses.
I think the same people are still.
Shit.
I think the same people are essentially still running it, but they have a higher up that they have to speak to.
Here's the actual interesting part: is like who is he? Wait, is he suing VF Corp or is he suing the other one? Because if they had to make those cuts to get to them,
Yeah, I would assume they're suing whoever owns Supreme now, which would be the Sunglass Hut.
that's funny though, because like they cut him, and then they have to
You
deal
gotta
with the shit.
it. Yeah,
That's gnarly.
that is gnarly.
Again, that's what I would assume.
Yeah.
We're not the legal over here.
No, but we're also finding. We don't know everything, but we're finding things out as
for
we
sure.
go. And
It's so
it's good to ask
interesting,
questions. I don't know.
It's so interesting. I was gonna look and see if I had what the hell they own.
I'd be curious to like even talk to my sister about all this stuff.
Lens Technologies,
Johnny Barnes, you already know budget cuts are
Ray-
definitely not buttery.
Ray-Ban, Oakley, all kinds of stuff, man.
Yeah, everything
Everything for your
sunglasses,
eyes,
glasses,
bro.
yeah, everything.
200,000 people across 150 countries with 650 operational facilities and 18,000 stores. This is a Siller Luxada, whatever the hell it is.
Luxottica.
They generate 25 billion euros in consolidated revenue in 2023. They got a lot of money.
They're big time.
They're big time. So I think at the end of the day, I think this won't go to court. I think they will settle with Tyshawn. I think Tyshawn will probably be pretty happy with the millions of dollars he's going to get from them.
Yeah.
And I do think that it is kind of just a lesson learned. It's like, if you want to get to this point, like just everything, make sure every line is every T is crossed, every I is dotted. Make sure everything's good.
I mean, I can see why he's suing for so much, just because like if you break it down, 3 years he make $36 million off them. If that's gonna currently stay the same, you know what I mean? It's like he's looking towards the future on how he at least is gonna get paid out in that number. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
So that's impressive. I hope it works.
What's the chat saying? Tyshawn versus Supreme. Who do you back? 62% says Tyshawn in our chat. 31% says just along for the ride. Supreme 6%. So nobody's got Supreme's back. Everybody's got Tyshawn's back.
Everyone's down to watch. A lot of people are down to watch though.
Yeah, I want to see what happens. The sad part is though, if they settle out of court, then you know that there's going to be a paper sign where they can't disclose anything. So I think realistically,
I'm happy with the outcome.
I'm happy with the outcome. I think realistically, we'll never know what transpires or how much he'll actually get. I think we'll just never know.
Yeah, I mean, don't speak too soon for him either. Like, I hope you don't want to say he's going to work for him because you don't know, dude. You're going up against a big company. That's kind of intimidating as well.
Totally.
You know?
Yeah, no doubt. But it's not like he don't got friends that got friends. Like he could definitely find some fucking top-notch lawyer to go against his.
Oh
lawyers.
yeah, for
You
sure.
know what I'm saying?
I mean, he had to. He's not just like, you know what, fuck that.
Especially because he came out his pot. He came out his face to do this.
I mean, he knows that he has to get the right lawyer. He's not
Yeah.
just picking anybody.
No,
he's going with like.
That's what I'm saying. He knows.
Oh yeah, bring up his Instagram post. That's the lawyer.
His Instagram posts are fucking so sick, next level shit.
Charlie put it in the chat if you or in the thing if it's gone.
When it was showing him as a little kid and it had Jay-Z, the lines that were being said by Jay-Z, it was so sick. It aligned with what he's going through.
There it is. What is this?
I think that was in the stories though.
Yeah. Let's see. Keep going. 1, 2, 3. No, bring it up. It's in our chat. Charlie put it in there. Anyway, he had a picture of Better Call Saul.
Oh yeah.
That
on
too.
his
That
story.
was the second one. Yeah,
Which I was
funny.
like, I hope you got a little better lawyer.
Yeah.
than Better Call Saul. I was like, I love Better Call Saul.
I know,
Good
me too.
lawyer, you know,
Yeah.
for some shady business. But I hope you got somebody a little bit better.
Shady ass fucking lawyer. Oh,
That's his. This is his
that
post.
was pretty
This is his
funny.
post. Yeah,
That was pretty funny.
that was yesterday or something. That was pretty.
It's not coming up.
We were laughing. It's not. Let me see.
it's not there no more.
Was anything coming up?
No.
Yeah,
Ever?
No, it did. I think it ended. It was 24.
No,
What?
not for the audience.
Everything I've been bringing up on the screen is not coming up.
No.
What? How come you're just saying something now?
Well, I thought you were just kind of like, you didn't want to put all that fucking paperwork up there.
No shit. Oh my god. I was sorry about that, Chad. I thought I was showing you guys stuff, and the whole time it's been broken. After we get done with this, I'll go back and fix it. Sorry about that. Shit.
It's
My
all
bad.
right.
My bad. I thought we were showing you all the paperwork. And
There was
everything.
some that was coming up.
Yeah,
Yeah, it
but
was
not on the
coming up.
not,
Yeah, there was a coming
not
up.
for the
Okay.
audience.
Yeah.
Or JC, was it coming up for the audience?
I think it was for a bit. I feel like just now.
Just now, it kind of crapped out.
Well,
No,
once you put that on
It
there,
hasn't come up on the program at all.
Really?
No.
Oh, okay.
That's bizarre, man. I'll go fix it after this. Sorry about that. Anybody that wanted to see what the fuck we were talking about.
Well, that's
yeah,
the first
I-
time I've heard like a big deal. Like this is like the biggest deal I've heard. Not just like, I don't know, with any. I've never heard this happening before.
No.
I'm gonna. I hope.
Like just getting clipped in their contract.
Well, and then
during
and
a
then like putting it out there, like, hey, I'm fucking coming
Yeah,
at you.
yeah,
dude.
yeah. Yeah.
I never heard.
There's
of that.
been a couple lawsuits in skateboarding, man.
like what?
I'm trying to remember. Didn't Frankie Hill sue?
That was loud about it. That you would know that was happening.
Yeah, that was kind of. Well, I mean, that was
Everybody's-
back in the day when there was. You
Everybody's
couldn't be
low-key.
loud.
Everybody's low key in this shit.
There was a couple things, man. I feel like. Huh. But I'll tell you this: there's been a lot of people cut for not doing, not doing much.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Just let go out of the blue.
Yeah. No
It's like-
doubt about that.
Maybe think twice before you cut like your main dude. When you
No doubt about
yeah,
that.
Yeah.
Real shit.
And it's one thing if like you're like, oh, this guy isn't where we want to keep going with whatever. Like, no, that's the fucking guy.
Straight up.
He just won Skater of the Year. He's in the last couple of years.
There's
he's
a
won
reason.
twice.
Yeah, there's a reason for that.
You want this dude to be there. What the? Why else wouldn't you want him to?
Now
be
you
there?
might want to reevaluate his deal.
maybe do that first.
Yeah, I think that would have been a better
Maybe-
approach.
yes.
But I think he probably wouldn't have took that right. He wouldn't have took that lightly either. I think he would have had a problem with that.
Well, didn't
too.
his contract coming up right around the corner?
Probably. I don't know how long his contract was, but I would assume.
I mean, I don't.
They didn't.
Oh,
I
he
mean,
didn't
he's
say
not. Because he's also suing for 1.2 million, for the contract.
The rest of the
Re-
contract.
remaining payments from
Oh,
October.
so yeah, he only had another year and some months.
Yeah, the remaining payments from October to December 25th, 1,249,000.
So he had all of 2025.
Uh,
He would have been still on.
to December 2025.
Yeah.
The only thing that's gonna suck maybe is that if you just have that contract, whatever it says, and it legally has those things said, then that's it. You know what I mean?
Yeah, that's why I said you got to look at your fucking contract.
Yeah, that's the only thing that sucks.
And stand on it and make sure you know.
Just because they let it happen. I mean, we really don't know what the contract says. So like, if you did do that before, but now they're saying no, like it still says you can't do that.
Yeah.
Which is fucking.
Crazy. I'm here for the ride, man.
Yeah,
I want to see what
no,
happens,
it's-
dude.
We're obviously everyone here is fans of him. We all want him to like keep skateboarding and doing
Okay.
his thing. It sucks to see him not involved with
Yeah.
Supreme, but
Get your money, bro.
yeah.